Hey everyone, it's Kristen. So we are talking about Dazzler 23 today. His name is Flame. Very dramatic. Of course, that's what covers are meant to do. You're supposed to be dramatic and grab your attention. Um, so we open on Dazzler. She's in bed in her little nightgown and she smells smoke. And she's like, what the heck, what the heck is going on? Oh, and it's 2:15 in the morning. Like I like how they added that little detail in there just so that we would know. I mean, and it talks about how she hasn't slept well, since the incident with the sisterhood. She's kind of still been looking over her shoulder. Well, this is just like I think this is just where the last issue ended that she and her sister spent the night talking and, her sister basically slept on the floor. And so Dazzler goes out into the hallway to the fire alarm, but it doesn't work. She tries the phone, it doesn't work. So she turns up the radio and, starts shining brightly to try to get someone's attention. And she just happened to get the attention of police officers. And she yells out the window, "There's a fire in my building, and the phones aren't working, and the alarm's not working. Like, we need some help." And the police go to the nearest phone and they're like, "Hey, this phone's not working. Like, what's going on?" And Dazzler sees a figure, sprinting away from the scene and she thinks it's Rogue. Like that worries her. And she's like, I can't believe that she would, burn down this whole building just to get back at me. Like burn down this building of innocent people. So she tells her sister Lois, like, hey, take these blankets, throw them in the bathtub really quick, and we're gonna put them over us so that we can get out of here. Like, hopefully that'll help shield us from, the fire, smoke for, long enough to get out. And she sees one of her neighbors, um, and she's trapped by the fire. So she tries to help her. So she is digging through her bag because she has her bag this time, looking for a radio. And her sister Lois is like, "What are you doing? What? We're in the we're in the middle of a fire. What are you doing?" So she turns on her radio so she can use the sound to, basically suppress a little path of fire so that her neighbor can get out. So they get out onto the street, and you see this figure riding away on a motorcycle, and then make a note that the motorcycle is completely silent. Like it doesn't have like the revving engine sound. Which, okay, this is a guy from the cover, but like right here where he's talking on the phone, doesn't this look like a girl? I mean, like the shot where it's just the lips. To me, that kind of looks like a girl. So I was like, wait, what? So So basically, he says, my work was ruined by some woman who created some kind of beacon. Like, I planned this out all so carefully and she ruined it. But you'd think that after a little while at least, well, I guess it might be too late by that time. Like, by the time people notice the smoke, it could be too late for the building to be saved or people to, be saved. So there he is, Flame. He's an arsonist for hire, basically. It tells a teeny bit of his backstory. He has an insulated suit that insulates him, obviously, duh. Sorry. That insulates him against fire. Oh, sorry. He doesn't like it when his plans get ruined. He's like very, yeah, he's like, no, that's not cool. So here's the landlord. He comes up and he's like, what the hell, what the heck is going on? Like, why are you people standing here? What did you do to my building? And they're like, we almost died in your rat trap of a building. And he's like, well, I had the minimum standard of fire codes, fire safety. You can't blame this on me. If you had just, like, he says, let's see. He said, and if you would just look out for your own interest and buy the co-op shares I'm offering, things like this wouldn't happen. Obviously, that is like a big red flag to we know what's happening. Like we know what happened. Sorry, this pop-up ad is super annoying. Okay, well, I can't figure out how to get it to go away, so I'll just try to ignore it. It's very distracting. So then we have Rogue and Mystique talking again, and basically Mystique is saying like, this is my decision. We're gonna hold off attacks on the X-Men for right now, for the on Angel right now. I want him to stew. I want him to suffer. I want him to be so afraid, so, keep looking over his shoulder that he just doesn't know what to do. So we're just gonna hold off on the attacks, just leave him alone. And then she's like, but Rogue's like, but what about Dazzler? Like, what about her like terrible, future that Destiny predicted? And Mystique's like, that's Dazzler's problem. Like, she is nothing. Like, she's a performer. She's not our ally. She's not really, an ally of the X-Men. She's of no consequence, basically. And, just leave her alone. And Rogue, of course, is like, okay, Mystique, whatever you say. But really, she's not thinking that. Okay, so now we're at a television studio and they're, taking some, I guess, B-roll of Dazzler and Power Man and Iron Fist come in and they're like, hey, you can't be in here. This is like a closed set. And Dazzler's like, oh, they're for me. Oh, I forgot to say in the last issue, um, Warren suggested that she should hire them, like Power Man and Iron Fist, because they have the whole heroes for hire. She should hire them as protection. So I forgot to say that. And that's why they're in this issue. So she says, I'm sorry, they're here to see me. And so she explains her situation and that she'd like to hire them. And she's like, I have friends, like the Fantastic Four, Avengers, X-Men, but I feel weird going to them about this. And so they say, okay, we'll take your case and we'll give you the bargain rate of $100 a day, which I don't know if that's exactly a bargain rate back then. I will have to do some math and then I'll let you know. Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure they tried to give her a good rate or they did give her a good rate, I would assume. So then Luke is like, do you smell something? What's going on? And so guess what? The television studio is on fire. And Dazzler freaks out. She's like, no, she's after me again. No, stop. And the whole building is like collapsing. And so Power Man is literally holding up the ceiling while everyone, tries to get out. And the door to the outside is kind of stuck. And Danny accidentally, like, he pulls off the handle and he's like, that was way too easy. Someone has obviously tampered with this. So he harnesses his chi and, obliterates the door. And then basically, Power Man, he like lets go of the ceiling and runs really quick and dives out of the hole that Danny made. And of course, Flame is not happy because his plans have been foiled again. So, and then we have this where Lois is out with her mom, which Lois is kind of an old-fashioned name, but I guess it was the 80s, so I guess it wasn't as old-fashioned and removed back then. A bit of course, I mean, because of course you have Lois Lane. Like that's the only other famous Lois I could think of. And well, I had an Aunt Lois, but anyway, it's not like a common name, a name you hear that it's not a name that you hear very often anymore, like in the real world. Anyway, sorry, random thought. So Lois faints and she's like, I've been having these fainting, oh, I'm sure it's nothing, but to herself, she says, I've been having these fainting problems and I don't know what to do. Like, what could this mean? So you see Angel and he's really trying to um, be in disguise. I mean, look at him. He looks like a bum. Like he hasn't shaved. He has a trench coat and hat, so he's really trying to like hide. He's really like worried. And we have Dazzler. She went to Ken's place And she's like, I don't know what to do. I'm scared. And he says, you should just stay here. And she's like, oh, I can't do that. I don't want to put you, in danger. And she so then takes a cab over to Luke and Danny's offices, but then she thought, oh, wait, my landlord, maybe he has a place for rent that I could, stay in for a while, and lay low. So she goes actually instead decides to go to her manager's office or her landlord's office. And you hear there's Danny and Luke, and they're kind of discussing her case and trying to think of like why if someone's after her would they be burning all these places down? There should surely is an easier way to get to her. Like we should check out the other possibilities for why this is happening. Oh, and I wanted to say I love her dress. I think it's so fun. It's so cute. Like I wish I could wear that dress. And we do see, like, I'll take note, she does have a purse with her. So she overhears her landlord, I think his name's like Crowley, talking to Flame, and he's like, Flame's like, you hired me to do this job, and I got interrupted, and Crowley's like, I hired you to do that job, but not to like for this personal vendetta against Dazzler. I mean, you're causing too much. I hired you to burn down my building so I could get the insurance money. And yet by trying to get Dazzler because she, ruined your job, you're drawing too much attention to this. Like I don't want any part of this. And he's like, you're sick, Flame. And he's like, you didn't say that when you hired me. So he basically kidnaps Dazzler and he's like, this building, like, I've been hired to burn it down tonight and you're going to be a witness. And then for some reason, like, he leaves her. I don't know. And so the motorcycle, she goes, because remember, it's silent. She goes and removes whatever's making it silent and like because sorry, I don't know that much about motorcycles and mufflers and things like that. um so she removes whatever is making it silent so it makes noise, and that fuels her powers so she can burn through the ropes that are tying her. And like I said, she had her purse this time, so she puts on her skates and she dodges his fireballs. And he says, like your fellow singer Jerry Lee Lewis might say, goodness gracious, great balls of fire. And he's like, some joke, huh? Because he's shooting balls of fire at her. And like I said, with her roller skates, she's able to dodge his fireballs. And she tries to dazzle him, but, his glasses are like tinted in a way that it doesn't affect him because, his suit is for fires, and so are his glasses because some fires, are super hot, super bright. So he needs also his eyes to be insulated against that. Plus, probably, against the smoke getting in him and stuff. So she manages to take his gloves so he can't shoot fireballs at her anymore. But he's like, well, yeah, but I have this flame sword. And she is like, oh yeah, well I have this laser. And so she's literally like using her laser and trying to duel the sword with it. And she says, blast, he's right that she can't aim it. And I'm no Luke Skywalker when it comes to dueling. Because a lightsaber. She has this little laser that's kind of reminiscent of a lightsaber. Anyway, and then she says, but he's no Darth Vader. So he manages to get close. He's like, ow, my hand. He's like, I don't need my hand to deal with you. And she manages to get close enough to his eyes that she is able to dazzle him like through, despite his glasses. And then we have Power Man and Iron Fist crashing through the wall. And she's like, how did you guys know how to find me? And they're like, well, we found out that pretty much Crawley, he had a reason to, have his building burned down. So we kind of followed the trail, which I still don't know why. I guess they probably talked to Crowley and were like, "Hey, you better tell us where he is," and such. Um, so yeah, yeah. It says he told us everything. He was scared Flame would get him in deeper than he already is. So the police show up and they arrest Flame. And I think this is the only time we see Flame. Like with the Blue Shield, he showed up, you know, once and then he showed up again. And like Tech Master, he showed up once, showed up again. I think this might be the only time we see Flame. I'll have, I mean, I guess we'll see. Like, and I'll have to double check that. And so then, you know, Rogue's like, well, basically, the guys are like, yeah, so you're safe, you're fine. No one's out to get you. It wasn't even you he was after. And she's like, are you sure though? Really? Or are you really sure? Because he's like, anyway. And then we see Rogue, and she's like, Dazzler, I'm coming for you. Because she's pretty much disobeying Mystique, and she's like, well, I'm going to go after Dazzler. So, next it says, a rogue in the house. So, we have another issue featuring Rogue. So, yeah, like I said, she's my favorite. So, anyway, I hope you will join me in the future for more videos. And now I can try to get rid of this pop-up. I will see you guys next time. Bye.